This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening, everyone. In the last classes, we have seen about the real-time tools, the purpose of each and every tool we have discussed. And in yesterday's class, we have seen about what are the different types of software projects, the roles and responsibilities as a developer, and the types of teams like that we have seen in the last class. Today, let us start off with our first tool, and this is very, very important tool. That is Apache Maven tool. Apache Maven tool. Now, what is this Maven tool is like? It's a build automation tool. Apache Maven is a build automation tool. And this Maven, so this Maven is from Apache company. So Maven is a free and open source, software developed by using Java. So this software is developed by using what? By using Java language only. This Maven tool has been developed. Then the main use of going with Maven is like Maven is used to build the projects. And one more advantage of going with Maven is Maven is used to create the right project structure. What is this right project structure? I will be elaborating once we create the Maven project. Then Maven is used to automate the Java project build process. This is the main thing. What is the main use of going with Maven? It is used to automate the Java project build process. Then, what is the meaning of build process? Let us understand. What are the roles it's going to do? So, what is the meaning of this build process? Is what we do in this process is download the required dependencies. Even we call it as libraries. That means here jar files. The required jar files for your project. So if I want to connect to MySQL, driver, we have to download what? MySQL driver jar file. Then if you want to connect to Oracle driver jar file. Similar way, Hibernate libraries. We can even call it as jar file or libraries. For going with Spring libraries. Even we call them as dependencies. The libraries, even we call them as what here? Dependencies. So in order to download the required dependencies, the required jar files for your project, that is one of the major important one under this build process. Under this build process, what is the major important one? Download the required dependencies. Right? Then, so what is this Maven tool? I'm just repeating. Maven is what? It's a build automation tool. And it is an open source software developed by using Java technology only. Maven is mainly for what? To build the projects. And it's going to create the right project structure. What is this right project structure? I'll be elaborating when we create the Maven project. And what is the main use of going with Maven? It is used to automate the Java project build process. So what is the meaning of build process? The major important one, download the required dependencies. Download the required libraries means jar files. So based on your project, if you are connecting to MySQL database, you have to download the MySQL driver jar file. If you are going with Oracle driver jar file. If you are using Hibernate libraries are dependencies, Spring dependencies like that. Spring Boot dependencies, all those things we have to download and add it to the build path. Then download the required dependencies and add the libraries, add the dependencies to the build path of the project. Next thing is compile the project source code. Compile what? The project source code, meaning the .java files to .class files. What we do here, compilation means we have to convert all the .java files what you have created to .class files. Then the next one, execute the JUnit test cases. Execute what? The JUnit test cases. Okay. The next thing, package. What is JUnit test cases? We'll discuss when we come to JUnit tool. Then package the application. So what is the meaning of package the application? Converting your project in the form of jar file or war file. So if it is a standalone or console application, we are going to create jar file. If it is a web application, we are going to create war file. So depends on the type of application, it's going to package the application in the form of jar or war. So what is jar? It's a collection of .class files in compressed format. So jar means Java archive. War means web archive. It's for web applications, right? So these are the steps what it is going to do in build process, and it is automated. It is automated here. Clear up to here, all of you? Any questions? Right? Now, let us see how to download this Maven and how to set up Maven on our operating system. Maven setup. So this Maven setup is required when you want to work it command prompt or terminal. Else, this Maven setup is not required. So the IDEs like Eclipse or Spring Tool Suite or IntelliJ, it comes with automatically with Maven. So this setup is not required when you are using IDEs. But even I would like to show how to do this Maven setup on our operating system so that we can work it command prompt or terminal also, so that we can know the commands which they ask during interview times. Now, how to go with this Maven setup is download the Maven software as a zip file and extract the zip file into a folder. Now, so for this, how to do is just to go to search engine like Google and say here download Maven. Download Maven. Let me show this. Go to search engine like Google and you can search here for download Maven. So once you search here, it's going to take you to this link, maven.apache.org download. Open this link. So this is the URL you can use to download Maven. In this page, if you scroll down, you can see this binary zip archive. You can find see here binary zip archive. So when you click on this link, it's going to download this zip file. Let me show this. So click on this link, it's going to download the zip file for us. There. Now extract this zip file, right click and say WinRAR, extract to a folder. Then this folder will be created, and in this folder again you can see the same folder, Apache Maven. The version is 3.9.10. Now let me copy this. And paste it into our batch folder. So I'm pasting this into our batch folder. So this is the location where our Maven is present. And if you open this folder, you can see bin. Here you can see all our commands. So what we need to do? We need to set the path now. We need to set the path to bin folder. So let me copy this. And let us do the path setting. How to do path setting? Right click on this PC. Right click on this PC. Go to properties. Right click on this PC. Go to properties. Advanced system settings. Environment variables. We need to do path setting in environment variables. Here in this system variable, select path. In system variable, select path and say edit, say new, and paste the address up to Maven bin folder. This even we call it as Maven home. This we can even call it as what? Maven home. Click here, OK, OK, OK. That's it. This completes our Maven setup here. So here, what is our next step? Set the path to this Maven home bin folder in environment variables. This is the path what we need to set. So up to this path, we can even call it as Maven home. Up to the parent folder of bin, we can even call it as what? Maven home. Right? So we are doing this path setting in environment variables. Then to verify Maven setup. To verify, open your command prompt or terminal and you can use the command nvn-version. So which is going to display the version of your Maven what you have downloaded. So we have done with the path setting. Then now let me open command prompt. And we have to use which command? mvn-version. So which is going to display the version of Apache Maven to us. So this completes our download and extracting the zip file and doing the path setting. Clear up to here all of you? Any questions? If you are using IDEs, this is not at all required because IDE comes with Maven automatically. It is implicitly present in IDEs. Okay. So, but why we are discussing commands? Commands are important. So during some interview times, they even ask you the commands related to Maven. So that's the main reason of working at command prompt also. Now let us see how to create a Maven project in Eclipse. Creating a Maven project in Eclipse. So how to create a Maven project in Eclipse? So let us open Eclipse. Now let me choose the folder. We are working in C drive 2025, our batch folder. And let me create one more new folder here, Maven. So I want to work in this Maven folder. Any folder, it's up to you. Just to choose some workspace. Now, here, let us create a Maven project. How to create Maven project? Click on File, New, and at the top only you can see Maven project. Now, make a check mark here. Skip, create a simple project, skip archetype selection. So make a check mark to this and click on Next button. Then it is going to ask you the group ID. So the group ID is like organization name. So for which company the project you are creating, that we have to mention here. Okay, the group ID. So here I am just going with com.rajtech. Then artifact ID means the project name. The project name what you want to create. Let me say the name as first Maven project. Then version is like snapshot. Snapshot means it is under development phase. Project is under development. We are having one more like release. We'll be having one more like release. Release means project is completed. And packaging. Packaging means whether you want to go with jar or var. Jar is for standalone application, console applications. Var is for web applications. Right? just to provide the group ID, the project name, artifact ID, and packaging. Only these two are required. Remaining will come automatically. Now click on Finish button, which is going to create the project for us. Right? You can see the project here. Now let me document how to create Maven project in Eclipse. Click on File, New, Maven project. Then make check mark to skip archetype selection. Archetype selection. Then in group ID, I'm providing com.rajtech. So what is this group ID means? Group ID means what here? The organization name, company name. Artifact ID. Artifact ID. What is this? I'm going with first Maven project. First Maven project. So what is this one? The project name. This is our project name. Then version. Version, it's taking snapshot automatically. So coming to this version, snapshot means project under development. We'll be having one more like release. Release means project completed. Then packaging. Packaging, we are selecting jar. Click finish. Right? So then what is this archetype means? Archetype means it is the type of project what you want to create, whether you want to go with the standalone or web project. See here. So when you are creating project, again I'm showing file new Maven project. Here create a simple project, skip archetype selection. Here what we are doing, create a simple project. So we are skipping the archetype selection here. Right? So what is archetype? Archetype means the project, the type of project. If you are not making check mark, if you say next, here you can choose catalog internal. Here we can choose here artifact here. So here Maven-archetype quick start means a standalone application. Web app means web application. Okay. So this part we'll discuss in the next week when we are working with Spring. Spring MVC, I'm going to discuss this. Now, once the project is created, see the folder structure now. See the folder structure, src main Java, src main resources, src test Java, src test resources. Okay. Target folder pym.xml file. This is the major important one for us. Now let us understand the folder structure. In this one, first one, src main Java. So this is only meaning called as right project structure. It's going to create what? Create the right project structure where to create which files. Now let us understand each everyone. src main Java. What we do in this? Here we write our Java source code file. Write Java source code files. So we create what? Classes. We are going to create classes. Then src main resources. What is the use of these resources? To create configuration files. Configuration files required for the application. Like examples, XML files, property files. properties files, right? So when you want to create configuration files, XML files, property files, where we are going to create under SRC main resources. Then next one, SRC test Java. What it contains? To write, to create JUnit test cases. So here in this one, SRC test Java, we are going to write our test cases for your project. What is JUnit? Everything we discuss later. Then the next one, SRC test resources. SRC test resources same to create configuration files required for unit testing. To create configuration files required for unit testing. Then target folder. Okay, contains the .class files. What target folder contains? The .class files or jar files or var files. As for a project, it's going to create only one jar or one var file. Okay, right? So this is our folder structure. So SRC main Java contains your source code files, the classes what we create. Resources contains your configuration files. Test Java contains your JUnit test cases. Test resources contains configuration files required for your unit testing. And target folder contains the .class files or jar file or var file of your project. Then in this one, we are having one important file called as pom.xml, which we call project object model. This is the main important file for your Maven. Right? Now, so in this XML file only, we add the project dependencies. In this pom.xml file, we add the project dependencies. Right? The project is the root element of pom.xml file. Right? So here, let me open this pom.xml file. What is the root tag of this XML file? Project. Project is the root element. And see, you can see here our group ID what we have given, and the artifact ID means the project name, and this version snapshot means project under development. Right? Any questions, anyone up to here? Let us understand about Maven dependencies. Maven dependencies. So what is this Maven dependency? The jar files required for the project development. The jar files required for the project development are called as Maven dependencies. If you want to connect to MySQL database, then we require MySQL connector Java, some version number jar file. If you want to go with Hibernate, we require to download some jar files. If you want to go with Spring, we require to download some jar files. That jar files only we call it as Maven dependencies, the project dependencies. Then Maven dependencies are present in the following, are present in the below website, where we can find the Maven dependencies. Here, this is the location. Let me Maven repository. So this is our Maven repository. So this is the URL where all our dependencies are present. So Maven dependencies are present where in this below website, mvenrepository.com. Now for example, if you want to add Spring dependencies, for example, I want to add Spring context dependency, what we need to do? Just to search here. In this mvn repository.com, search here. Which dependency you require, you have to search here. Spring context dependency. Spring context dependency, search here. Then see it's showing here Spring context. If you open this, here you can see the versions. Here you can see the versions. Like example, I'm going with 6.2.8 version. Select that version and just we have to copy this code. Just to copy and paste work here. Just we have to copy this code. Click in the box here. The code will get copied. Then come to this pym.xml file and we have to paste that code in between dependencies element. In between dependencies element, we have to paste that code. So whatever the code we have copied, in between dependencies, we have to create these dependencies and we have to paste that code. So here, this is our group ID, means the organization name. Artifact ID means the project name, and this is our version. Then once we paste it and save this file, see you can see one more folder got created, Maven dependencies. Here you can see all the jar files got added here. Or the jar file got added required for your project. So when you add this context, it's adding your Spring context, Spring OOP, beans, core, everything. These all things are getting added here. If I want to add MySQL driver, just search here. We have to search here, MySQL connector Java, search. See, it's going with MySQL connector J. Take this MySQL connector, take the version, copy this and paste over here. In between dependencies, we have to paste it. Right? In between dependencies, we have to paste. Now we can see one more jar file got added here, MySQL connector 9 version jar file. So this is the way to add the jar files into the project. Right? So what is the step here? We need to add the Maven dependencies. Maven dependencies in between dependencies element. Dependencies element of pym.xml file. Then Maven will download the jar files and adds to the build path of the project. Okay, it's going to add what? Build path of the project. Let me keep this code for your reference. Right? So how to add the dependencies into Maven? Clear with this one? This is the main thing. Just copy and paste work will do the task for us. So similar way, if you want to go with Hibernate dependencies. Spring JDBC means Spring JDBC dependencies. Spring MVC means Spring Web MVC dependencies. Like that, we have to just search in Maven repository and copy the code and paste it here. Right? Clear all of you how to do this adding the dependencies? Right? We're having one more concept called as transitive dependency. Transitive dependencies. So what is the meaning of transitive dependency? Is when we are adding this Spring context, we are adding what? Only Spring context dependency. But when we added Spring context dependency, it is even adding other dependencies here. AOP, beans, core, JCL, expression like this. So these all things we call them as child dependencies. This Spring context is our parent and the remaining dependencies we call it as child dependencies. Right? Now, so when we are adding the parent dependency, it's going to add even the child dependencies that we call it as transitive dependencies. So what is this transitive dependencies? When we add dependencies in pym.xml file, Maven will download the child dependencies. The child dependencies also. Child dependencies also, which is called as transitive dependency. Transitive dependency. But there is a disadvantage with this. So what is a disadvantage? So when you are adding the Spring context, it's even adding the child dependencies. But for my project, let us suppose I don't want to use this Spring AOP. In our project, I don't want to use this Spring AOP. So this Spring AOP, it's unnecessarily used. So this Spring AOP is unnecessarily using our memory, which is not at all required. Then when we are adding this parent dependency, I don't want to add this Spring AOP dependency. That we call it as dependency exclusion. That we call it as what? Dependency exclusion. How to remove the dependencies? Dependency exclusion. What is this? Removing unwanted child dependencies from the parent dependencies. Okay. So how to remove this Spring AOP now? Let us see that. See, observe, we are having Spring AOP now, right? We are having Spring AOP. Now I want to remove this. So how to remove this? Observe, in this pym.xml file, so we are adding this Spring context, but I don't want to add the child dependency, that is Spring AOP. So here we have to use the tag exclusions. Exclusion what is exclusion? Group ID org dot Spring framework. Then which one you want to exclude? Artifact ID Spring AOP. So I don't want to add this Spring AOP when you are adding this context. Now see, once we save this file, see here, can you see AOP now? See, AOP has been removed now. So this is the way to remove the child dependencies from the parent dependencies. This only we call dependency exclusion. This only we call it as what? Dependency exclusion. Right? So I'm providing this code also for your reference. Clear everyone? Up to here, any questions? Let us move to the next one. Maven repositories. Maven repository. So what is the meaning of repository? Is like a repository is a place where Maven dependencies are stored. Repository is what? It is a place where Maven dependencies are stored. Then we are having the types of repositories here. So related to Maven, we are having three types of repositories. They are local repository, central repository, and remote repository. We are having three types of repositories. What they are? Local, central, and remote. Now, here. So what is this local repository? Let us understand. Local repository. What is this local repository is? See here, observe. From where it is going to download the jar files, from where it is taking the jar files, observe here. From our local system only it is taking here. So where is that located? Empty folder. We have to remember this empty folder. So C drive users Raj M2 folder. This is M2 is remembered. We have to just remember this M2. So wherever local dependencies are present in M2 folder. So Apache here, Maven will store the dependencies in our local system. That is .m2 folder. Just remember this .m2 folder. Okay. See here. Let me open and show you. Here, C drive users. In my case, C drive users Raj M2 folder. In M2, you can see here C folder repository. Under repository, what is the dependency we have added? org, then Spring Framework, org, Spring Framework, and Spring Context, right? This is the one what we have added. org, Spring Framework, and Spring Context. Now, let me show this. Now, I'm deleting this. I'm deleting these two folders now. I'm deleting these two folders. Now, once I save this file, once we save this file, see here, automatically, see the folder has been created here. 6.2.8 folder has been created. So from where it is taking now, since this dependency is not present, this Spring Context dependency is not present. Okay. So let me delete this and show you. Spring Context I have totally removed now. Then let me save this file. See, automatically once I save this file, see now you can see Spring Context folder has been created. In that we are having the version 6.2.8, and here you can see all the jar files here. Okay. Then from where it is taking, previously it was not present. So when the dependencies are not present in your local system, means M2 folder. If the dependencies are not present in our M2 folder, then it is going to take the dependencies from where? From central repository. Then next time when you add the same dependency, it won't connect to central now. It takes the dependencies from where? From local system only. From M2 folder only, it's going to take the dependencies. Only one time it is going to connect to central and downloads all the dependencies from central to local. So every time whenever you are adding dependencies, it always takes the dependencies from local system only. But if the dependencies are not present, then it's going to take the dependency from central and copies that one into local system. Next time if you are trying to add same dependencies, it won't connect to central. It just takes the dependencies from local system. So what is our next one? Central repository. What is this central? Apache maintains, or you can say it is a public repository. It's a public repository. This central repository is maintained in central repository. All the dependencies are present in let me write like this. All the dependencies are maintained by Apache. It's a public repository where all dependencies are maintained by whom? By Apache only maintains all these dependencies. So this website what you are seeing now, MVN repository, this is a public repository. The next one, remote repository. repository. So what is this remote is? It is a private repository. It is a private repository maintained by the respective companies. It's a private repository maintained by the respective companies. Then, so in order to work with the remote repository, we use Nexus or JFrog to work with remote repository. In order to work with remote repository, we are going to make use of Nexus. So this we cannot understand now about remote repository. When we have done with Nexus 2, then I'll be elaborating much more again remote repository. Let me elaborate more using a diagram. Types of repositories. We are in three types. What they are? Central repository, we are having a remote repository, then we are having local repository. We are having central, remote, and local. Central repository, remote repository, and local repository. Right? So whenever you are adding the dependencies, first it is going to check it into the local repository, that is M2 folder. That is what here, M2 folder. When you are adding the dependencies, first it's going to check it in M2 folder. If the dependencies are not present, then it is going to connect either to central repository or it can take the dependencies from remote repository. So if you have configured remote repository for your project, then it's going to take it from remote repository. If you have not done, it's going to take it from central. So remote is like private. It's complete private. You have created your own project. You have created your own jars, and that jar files are used by some other projects. In that case, we make use of remote repositories. So what is the point to remember? Okay. When dependencies are added into the project, initially checks for the dependencies in local repository. If the dependencies are not present in local repository, then it takes from central or remote repository. Okay? So this point is important for us. Any questions, anyone? Moving to the next one. Maven goals. So what is the use of Maven goals? Is used to perform the build process. use it to perform the build process. And we're having the goals like compile, test, package, and clean. Compile, test, package, and clean. So what is this compile is convert .java files, convert.java files to .class files. Convert.java files to .class files. Then test. Test is for executes JUnit test cases. So this we'll see later. Then package generate jar or war file of the project. Then clean is like deletes .class files. Deletes .class files. Delete what it's going to do. It's going to delete target folder. So wherever .class file present here in target folder. Now let me show you examples. At your prompt, we can use mvn compile. Right? So what it is going to do? Generates the .class files in the target folder. It's going to generate the .class files in target folder. Let me show you. So we are working in this Maven, first Maven project. This is our folder. This is our project folder. Let me open this folder in command prompt. Let me open this folder in command prompt. Now see, I want to generate all the .class files. Now see the project. Here we are having target folder. In target folder, we are not having any files. See the folder here. Your first Maven project in target folder, do you have anything? Nothing. Okay. Now when we use the command mvn compile, when we say mvn compile, then once we press enter key, it's going to do the build process, build success, and in target folder we can see classes. See here Maven, the package name com.rajtech, and you can see the project name. Okay. The .class files, what we have done, mvn compile only, right? Mvn compile. Let me say mvn clean mvn clean. So the target folder will be deleted. When we say clean, it's going to delete the target folder. And when we use the command mvn compile, it's going to create the target folder. It's going to create the target folder, and you can see the classes over there. Okay. Why the classes are not creating? Because we are not having any Java file. Let me create one jar file now. Let me create one package com.rajtech. Then in this, let me create a class my app. So we're having a class now. Now see here. Now let me come back to this. We are having target folder. Let me say CLS. Now I'm using the command mvn clean. So when we say mvn clean, the target folder will be deleted. The target folder is getting deleted. You can observe here. Now when we say mvn compile, it's going to create a target folder, and under target folder you can see classes. Under classes you can see our package com.rajtech, and where you can see the .class files here, myapp.class. So that is the use of mvn compile. Then the next one, mvn clean, already we have seen. So what this is going to do, deletes all the .class files. So what it is going to do, actually delete the target folder. It's going to delete the target folder. Where I have one more like mvn test. This is for to test all the JUnit test cases. So this we'll discuss later. Next one, mvn package. mvn package. So what it's going to do, creates jar file in the target folder. The target folder, it's going to create what? Jar file. Now check it here. We are having target folder. Now we can even use the command like this, mvn clean package. So it's going to first delete the folder target, and again it's going to create the target folder. And when I say package, it's going to even create the jar file inside the target folder. See, press enter key. So it's creating target folder, and in that you can see the jar files here. What is the name of the jar file? See, the project name version 0.0.1 snapshot. See the pym.xml file. So this is the version what we have given. So it takes the project name. Okay, and see the file name hyphen 0.0.1 snapshot. I don't want to go with this file name. I want to go with my own file name. So if I want to go with our own file name, then what we have to do? Here we have to use the element. Build final name. In between project tag we have to write build final name. So I'm saying my app. I'm going with what name? My app. Now once I save this, and what is the file name? See, first Maven project. This is the name of the jar file. Now let me do this packaging once again. So again I'm saying mvn clean package. mvn clean package. Then see, it's going to delete and creates target folder, and see the name of this one, my app. So how to change the name? By using this piece of code. We can change the name of the jar file. Right? I'm just mentioning the code. So which file will be created now? My app.jar. Right? Right? Now go to work in IDE. IDE also we can do this. In IDE also we can do this process. So just right click on project and go to run as Maven build. And here you can provide the goals here, like clean package. Clean package. Here we can provide the goals. So apply and you can run here. That's it. Okay. The target folder will be deleted and recreate that target folder. Okay. Then next one, we are having the last concept, just 5 minutes. Dependency scope. So we are having the dependency scope like compile, provided, runtime, and test. These are the dependency scope. So compile, provided, runtime, and test. So what is this compile? This is the default scope. This is the default scope. Use it if none is specified. So this will come automatically. Compile means, the meaning of compile is the jar files, the dependencies will get added. What are the dependencies you are adding here? The dependencies will get added during compile time. During compile time only, all the respective jar files will get added. That's meaning of compile. So you need not mention this. It is the default scope. Provided is similar to compile. Similar to compile. Will add the jar files. Will add the jar files by the respective containers. That is like servers. Let me take an example of this. The meaning of provided is like, so when you are developing a web application, let us suppose you want to work with JSP. You want to work with what? JSP. So here we'll search for JSP-API.jar. JSP-API.jar. Now, here you can see JSP-API.jar. See, now we can see, observe here, scope, it is provided. Scopes here, you can see what? Provided. So this jar file, API-jar file, is required while compiling. But while running the application, it is not required. Why it is not required while running the application? Because let us suppose if you are running the application in Tomcat server already contains this jar file. The Tomcat server already contains this JSP-jar file. So at that time it is not required. During runtime it is not required. It is taken care by your container. That's the meaning of your provided. Next one, runtime. Dependencies are not required at compile time. Adds the dependencies at runtime. It's going to add the dependency during runtime, right? Said that compile time it's not required. During runtime, if it is required, it's going to add the dependencies. The test adds the dependencies when executing the JUnit test cases. Adds the dependencies when executing the JUnit test cases. Like example, when you go with JUnit, you can search here what JUnit dependency. Or you can see JUnit Jupyter. If you take the version, see the scope, you can see what here say test means what are the dependencies you are adding, JUnit dependencies that will get loaded, that will get added to the path during test time. When you are testing your application, at that time it's going to add the dependencies. That's the meaning called as scope as test here, right? So these are the dependency scopes here. What are the dependency scope we are having? Compile, provided, runtime, and test here, right? So this is about JUnit tool. This is about Maven tool. And in tomorrow's class, we are going to discuss about one more tool, very, very important tool, GitHub tool. Tomorrow we'll discuss GitHub tool. And what are the document I'm typing? What are the document I'm typing? What are the diagram I'm drawing? Everything I'm going to place it in our drive. I'm going to place it where? In our drive. Let me provide that drive link once again to you. I'm providing the drive link once again. You can find it in our chat window of GoToMeeting. From there also you can copy it. Same link what I've shared in the previous classes. And what are the recording we are doing? That recording you can get it from this YouTube playlist. So that also I'm going to share it to you. You can copy from the chat window of GoToMeeting. Anyone having any questions? So in tomorrow's class, let us move to the next one, GitHub tool. And tomorrow is the last day to attend the demo classes. Then from next week, we are going to do the classes only for the people who have enrolled. For them, I'm going to share a separate meeting link to join. Right? Thank you all. Thank you very much.